G'day, I'm Gavin from Hurleysflyfishing. We specialise in guided tours throughout Victoria, but we also take groups to Alaska, Chile, bone fishing Christmas Island, and our most popular one, New Zealand. So if that's where you want to go, come in and see us at our stores in Bentley and Lumsden. I've come to a lovely big pool here, which you'd imagine is going to hold some pretty good fish, or when they're coming up to spawn, a good holding water where it's not too fast for them and they can sort of get their energy back before going further upstream. It's quite deep, so we've got a couple of split shot on behind those two beaded flies with the nymphs behind them, and we'll just slowly drift that through there and wait for that indicator to go down. And the Threadbow's an amazing area. I mean, the river itself, during the summer, it's an outstanding dry fly fishery as well, with a lot of grasshoppers and things like that. And it sort of changes once we get into it, the winter time, and obviously the spawn runners, everything changes, you know, from the way the fish sit and move and to what they'll eat as well. So you've got to react accordingly and put what they're going to be eating in front of them. Now, a couple of things that I think are very important when you are fly fishing is your sunglasses. And these are Mako, because I find they're the best. They're a polarised lens, but these in particular are photochromatic, which means they'll change from light to dark. So I'll put these on early in the morning when we need more light in, and they lighten up and allow that. As the sun gets higher, they'll darken up as well and stop a lot of that squinting. But the most important part about these glasses is they allow you to see into the water. And so sometimes that might be, particularly in New Zealand or sometimes here in shallow water, you'll actually see the fish and target your casts accordingly. Here, what we'll need to do, because there's still a little bit of colour and a bit of depth, we're looking for structure. And that may be rocks where the fish can hide behind, or even logs and things like that. And once you know where the fish are likely to be, what's on the bottom, you can cast and put all your flies around that same area. But it all starts with a decent set of Polaroids. So make sure you get the best you can afford, because they'll last a long time and they'll allow you to catch a lot more fish. Casting's obviously pretty important with fly fishing. When you're beginning, it's a little bit difficult. I think the biggest problem is at the start people use too much wrist. So they're using big arcs like that in the rod, and that throws into the line really big loops, and it doesn't really give it direction you need. What we want is essentially to be like a dart. So to achieve that, we need to have a much smaller arc in our rod, and that throws that line where we want it to go, which is forward and out in front. What we also talk about is shooting line. So once we get to the end and stop the rod, you can actually let that line go, and that pulls all the line out and makes your cast a lot further. And that really adds to a lot of distance once you can shoot line. So we're just backwards and forwards, and then stop the rod and let it go. And all that line shoots out, which gives you greater distance to where the fish are. Another thing which you'll see me do a bit, which is called a double haul. And that's essentially we're getting faster line speed, which allows it to be cast a lot further. So what we're doing, when it goes to the back, we're pulling the line forward just to make it hasten up, and it puts a lot more force into it, so it'll shoot a lot further, a lot faster. That's called a double haul. Takes a little bit of getting used to get the hang of it, but once you perfect that, there's no distance that you can't cast and no fish you can't catch. Oh, there we go. Well, she's been tough going, to say the least. We've fished a couple of little places downstream, and we just haven't come up trumps, but I guess it comes down to persistence, and even when you're about ready to pull the pin, sometimes you shouldn't. And I couldn't get a good look at him, but he looked, he seems to be a reasonable sort of fish, but he's going downstream, so we might have to get down and try and get below him. He's got a bit of toe in him, but it's good. We've got a lovely little run there, and you've still got to use, even when it is spawning time, you've still got to use your nous and where you think a fish is going to be, and put your cast there accordingly. But I'll just have to get my skates on and get down below here, so I can keep him out of those snags. I've just got a bit of pressure on him, and he's sort of actually worked his way back up. And that's the beauty of a rod in a good fast action 6-weight. You can just keep that pressure on, and it can be like leading a dog at times, and you can just get him to come to the way you want him. On is a brown, you just see him now, and just that dark coloration, but a lovely fish just the same. Get him head first and into the net there, so that's a good result when it has been pretty hard going, and you get a bit despondent at times. So to actually see that indicator go down, strike, and there's something other than a stick or a rock on the end, that makes it all worthwhile. And yeah, just a great fish. You know, anywhere in Australia you can get a fish that'll easily be, 4.5 pound is pretty good. You know, on a day like today, in wonderful surroundings. And just on the edge of the Kosciuszko National Park. So, yeah, it's a pretty amazing sort of place to be. So there we got him, a lovely brown, good thick, there you go, 5.25 pound. That's not bad going, not bad going. Beautiful colorations. And a lovely big fish. And he's a male. You can see by that starting to get a hook jaw. But the depth on that's incredible, and the thickness there. I mean, that's a good solid fish. And you can see quite a few marks on the side where that's essentially coming from fighting with other males for dominance and to get with a hen fish. So he's a beautiful fish there. Amazing coloration there as well. So we'll just put him back in that water there. Just amazing, just these colorations, lovely big head in there. He's a good solid fish. He's been around for a while. May well have come up from the lake, I would suspect, up to spawn there. And yeah, just a few battle scars in there, but a great solid fish with plenty of go on him and a huge big tail. And he's good to go off already. And off he goes, and he'll do his business. So yeah, that's a pretty good result. We're looking for areas where the fish, perhaps as they swim upstream, there might be a pool where they can hold and sort of get their breath back before they continue on. So you target your areas where you're going to fish around there, and every now and then it's going to work. So makes it all worthwhile. So good. We'll see if there's another one or two in there. If not, I'm a pretty happy lad anyway.